Hello and welcome to Strand by Strand. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today I wanted to make another hair smoothing treatment, but I wanted to make sure that it is a little bit more detailed and not just a time lapse of something that I did. So here I'm just showing you what I'm going to be working with. So I have pretty curly roots. Her ends are pretty smoothed out just because of how much she flat irons her hair and everything. But today we wanted to kind of even the textures out. We want to make sure that we have very smooth hair from roots to tips so that whenever she does her hair at home, she has a much easier time. So first we're going to go ahead and divide the hair. Clean sections is key here. We want to make sure that any treatment that we're doing, any color or anything, we have very clean sections so that we can have an even distribution of the product, and it's also just cleaner and an easier time when you're doing the hair. So for my preferred section right now, I just go right down the middle and I continue to subsection each side. As I'm going up, I go left, right, so that we have an even application. So I make sure that my subsections are thin enough so that I can evenly distribute the product. And when I apply the hair smoothing treatment, I make sure that I do not touch the scalp, because if you touch the scalp, it can cause irritation, it can cause dandruff, it can just make the client feel very uncomfortable throughout the whole process. We do not want that. So just making sure that I apply it towards the root, and then whatever product is already in the roots, I comb it through to the ends, because you don't really need that much product when it comes to the smoothing treatments. They're very slippery, they're very easy to apply, and I even use my brush as I'm applying this to kind of start combing it through. But then I use that rat tail comb, that very fine tooth comb, to comb it all the way to the ends so we can have an even distribution. And the reason why we want that is because we want to make sure that the hair is absorbing the product. If we just go ahead and brush it on and we just put it on top, we're only coating the hair. But whenever we comb it through, we make sure that every single strand has the product. And whenever we let it process for an hour, it allows the product to absorb into the hair instead of just like putting a blob of product on top and not really distributing it evenly. And then we're going to have inconsistent results that way. And if we have an inconsistent texture, then the client is going to have a very difficult time styling their hair at home, because instead of having an even canvas throughout, just smooth hair, straight hair throughout, she's going to have curlier hair here, straighter here, and maybe wavier there, and she's just going to have a horrible time whenever she's home doing her own hair. So this way, we're making sure that every single strand of hair is going to be evenly distributed, and it's also going to make sure that it absorbs correctly. So here I kind of wanted to change my angle and get a little bit closer just so you can see how thin my sections are and how clean they are, in order for me to make sure that every single strand is nice and saturated, but not overly saturated. You're gonna see how little product I really use towards the roots here and how it just coats that entire section. You don't need that much. So you see how I'm applying it and I'm not really touching that scalp, and that's making sure that her scalp still feels comfortable, not irritated. She's not gonna be like, oh, it's burning, like why does it tingle, you know? We don't want any of that to happen. So you see how that little bit of product, I was able to coat the entire hair from roots to ends, and I make sure that I also comb all of the sections together to just continue to make sure that everything is nice and saturated and even. So here I just wanted to divide the front section of this side with the back. I just wanted to make it a little bit easier for me. Then I grab my thin subsection and you go ahead and you clip that piece away. I use my rat tail comb to clip it away in this time. And once again, you use a little bit of product. You don't need much. Making sure you don't touch the scalp. and using the same brush to start even combing it through. So you see how it's just towards the roots. I don't need much. And you see how I use my brush to kind of start combing it through. I'm making sure that I'm even putting a little bit of pressure so that it can really penetrate the hair. So after I apply the product all over the hair, I let it process for an hour, and then we go back to the shampoo bowl and remove at least 80 to 90% of the product, not all the way. And then we go ahead and we start with the blow dry. So I wanted to also kind of slow things down here because I want to explain how I blow dry hair and why it is so important to do it this way in order for us not to struggle when it comes to the flat ironing. So what I do with when I'm blow drying is that I make sure that I'm blow drying kind of in sections. So this piece right here, I make sure that her roots are fully dry before I go into the mids. So I don't just grab the hair and I just rake it all the way through and then grab the top and all the way through. I just go ahead and I make sure the roots are very thoroughly dry. Then I go in the middle like I'm doing here, and then I keep going all the way to the ends, but I make sure that that same subsection, I kind of treat it in 3 sections as root, mids, and ends. That way I make sure that the entire piece is fully dry and it's also very straight and very silky, and that way when I go ahead and I do the flat iron, I'm not struggling with super curly hair still, and my flat iron is just gonna be a breeze. And look at how that smoothie treatment is already giving her so much shine, and her hair is so soft and so manageable, and then this is already gonna help her have a better time at home. So then I like to kind of part it in the middle, and then again take some very thin subsections. And with this smoothing treatment, we have to flat iron the hair 10 to 15 to 20 times depending on the hair texture and the thickness of her hair. She has pretty fine hair, but her curl is pretty tight, so I kind of go in between 8 to 10 passes. Some areas have different curl types and some areas have thicker hair, so I have to maybe do up to 15 passes, but you kind of go through the hair and you feel the hair out, and you also can see the different textures and the different thickness in order for you to decide how many passes you're gonna do. So again, I really like clean sectioning, as you see here. I love having very thin sections because that ensures me that every single piece is gonna get very straight. And shout out to Color Track for these amazing clips with kind of like the comb attachments on top, because whenever I have to continue to section my hair, I have such an easy time doing it because I don't have to be unclipping the hair to then take out the subsection to then clip it back up. No, I just go ahead and take the hair out, take my subsections, and just put it right back on top of that comb, and it actually saves me a lot of time. So if you would like to get those Color Track clips, it's gonna be linked on this description box below. And also I'm gonna be linking every single tool and even the smoothing treatment that I'm doing here today, so check out that description box at the end of the video so that you can see where you can get all of these goodies. So as you can see, I took those thin sections and I continue to flat iron them very thoroughly, making sure they're nice and straight and nice and silky so that her smoothing treatment can last the 6 to 8 months that it should last. And here's the final result. Look at how shiny, how soft, the movement that it has. It's so beautiful. She's going to have such an easy time now. She can just wash her hair and let it air dry, and maybe if she needs to maybe blow dry it on a little bit, or maybe even just do a couple of flat iron here and there. But she honestly doesn't have to do much because the hardest part of this procedure, I already did it here. So she gets to just go ahead and go home and enjoy her silky hair until it's time for her retouch. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you learned in this video and what you would like to learn in future videos. Thank you so much. God bless.